the silence turned into deafening. Not the kind of silence that one might locate in a library or a mountain retreat. However, instead a silence that seemed to stretch on for eternity. It became a silence so profound that it made the heart race and the pores and skin crawl. It was as though the very air had been sucked out of life, leaving handiest the barest threads of lifestyles clinging to the rims of reality. Dr. Elena Martinez stared out into the void, her eyes narrowed in attention. The stars twinkled like distant fireflies, their light dancing throughout the blackness of area. She stood at the helm of the exploration vessel, her long, raven hair floating about her face within the gentle artificial gravity. The faint hum of the engines and the gentle glow of the manage panel have been the only signs of lifestyles at the ship. Around her, the rest of the group busied themselves with their own responsibilities. Scientists pored over fact streams, making sense of the myriad of readings that regarded to defy explanation. Engineers tinkered with the sensitive equipment that kept them all alive and safe from the risks of deep area. And explorers, ladies and men whose souls were as substantial as the universe itself, dreamed of the wonders that lay simply beyond the next big-name machine. But it was Elena who held all of us interest, for it turned into she who had found the signal that had changed everything, the sign that had led them all here, to the very center of the galaxy, the sign that appeared to be a misery call from an historic, superior civilization lengthy idea extinct. As they had delved deeper into the unknown, the mysteries had simplest increased. The civilization they have been now certain they had determined had left behind artifacts and systems that defied clarification. Their generation become mild years beyond whatever humanity had ever dreamed of, and their expertise of the universe changed into so profound that it made Dr. Elena Martinez's very own discoveries light in contrast. But there has been something else as well, an experience of familiarity that permeated the whole thing they encountered, an experience that this turned into now not the first time humanity had encountered this civilization, or something very just like it. It turned into as though records become repeating itself, but in an atypical, twisted kind of manner. As they continued to discover the enigmatic ruins that dotted the landscape, the crew grew an increasing number of divided. Some felt that they'd an ethical obligation to shop this civilization, if indeed they may. Others argued that the expertise they had already gained become enough, and they ought to focus on getting home before phrase of their discovery leaked out and sparked a galaxy-huge race for the secrets and techniques they had stumbled upon. Elena stood at the middle of this debate, her mind torn among her desire to store this civilization and her duty to her very own humans. She knew that the choice they made could shape the destiny of now not most effective humanity, but of the whole universe. And yet, she couldn't help but sense that there has been something more, a few hidden fact waiting just out of sight, calling to her like a siren's track. The silence stretched on, as oppressive and heavy as ever, and yet it appeared to Elena that it became additionally full of a faint whisper, a voice calling out from the depths of time itself, beckoning her ever onward, urging her to maintain going, to hold looking, to preserve listening. And so, she stood there, on the crossroads of history and future, her heart torn between duty and desire, between the recognized and the unknown. Around her, the relaxation of the crew waited, each one hoping that she could make the right choice, that she would make them protection and enlightenment, or closer to oblivion and the unknown. The weight of their hopes, their fears, their lives, lay heavy on her shoulders, but she knew that she couldn't shirk her responsibility. She had to pick, and she needed to pick out accurately, for the fate of the galaxy hung inside the stability. And so, with a heavy coronary heart and thoughts full of doubt, Dr. Elena Martinez made her decision. She took a deep breath, squared her shoulders, and turned to face her team. Whatever desire she made, regardless of the outcome, they might all should live with it. And so, she spoke. "To my pals, she said, her voice constant in company, "Yet I even have made my decision." Around her, the silence became deafening. Elena took a deep breath and endured. I actually have decided that we should keep this civilization. We can't flip our backs on them in their time of need. The expertise they maintain is just too treasured, the secrets they own too critical. We need to do the entirety in our electricity to assist them, and in so doing, we can also help ourselves. We may release the key to a brighter future, one in which humanity and this ancient civilization can stroll facet through aspect, sharing our know-how and our desires. There had been murmurs of assent from the group, however also frowns of disapproval. Some looked away, sincerely uncomfortable with the selection. Others nodded vigorously, their faces alight with determination. Elena knew that her preference could now not take a seat properly with absolutely everyone. However, she had made it nonetheless. I understand that that is a volatile selection, as she stated, her voice softening. We don't know what we're strolling into, or what the outcomes is probably. But I agree with all my heart, that that is the proper thing to do. We owe it to ourselves, and we owe it to them. She gestured toward the historic ruins that surrounded them, their towering structures of steel and stone accomplishing closer to the sky like arms greedy for a misplaced heaven. We have come to this point, and we've got exposed a lot. We cannot turn again now. We must see this through, together. There were nods of settlement from several crew individuals. However, one voice rang out loud and clear. And what about our own humans, Elena? What about the hundreds of thousands of lives that depend on us getting back domestic competently? We cannot simply abandon them. Elena's coronary heart ached on the reality of these words. She knew that the destiny of humanity rested on her shoulders, and that every decision she made could have effects. But she additionally knew that this became the choice she needed to make, the choice that felt right in her gut. I understand your concerns, as she said, assembling the speaker's gaze. Can I guarantee you, I will no longer forget about our project to get home. We will find a manner to do both. But we cannot turn our backs on this civilization. They want us, simply as we need them. Together, we will forge a brand new destiny for us all. There had been murmurs of assent, but also murmurs of dissent. Elena knew that the talk become some distance from over, but for now, she had made her choice, and he or she would stand by way of it. The fate of the galaxy hung in the stability, and she could no longer shirk her duty. As the crew began to speak about the implications of her selection, Elena turned away, her thoughts racing with 1,000 mind and opportunities. She knew that the road beforehand would be lengthy and fraught with risk. However, she also knew that she had made the proper choice. And so, with a dedication born of responsibility and hope, she set her direction, her heart full of the expertise that whatever the final results, she would not be the one to allow them to down. The galaxy awaited, its secrets and techniques and its mysteries prepared to spread, and Elena Martinez was ready to stand it head-on. She had taken the first step down a course that would exchange the whole lot, and he or she would now not flip lower back. For the fate of the galaxy hung inside the stability, and the fate of humanity rested in her hands. Elena Martinez, the leader of the team, stood before her team, her heart heavy with the weight in their choice. They had come to date, uncovering historical ruins that said a civilization far older and more superior than something humanity had ever dreamed of. And now, they were faced with a preference: to continue their mission to return home, or to live and help this historic race rebuild itself. The anxiety turned into palpable as she scanned the faces of her crew contributors. Some appeared away, without a doubt uncomfortable with the significance of the choice they needed to make. Others met her gaze step by step, their dedication and remedy mirroring her personal. We cannot abandon them, as she stated, her voice firm. The expertise they possess, the secrets and techniques they shield, are too treasured to go away in the back of. We need to do the whole thing in our strength to help them, and in so doing, we may additionally liberate the key to a brighter future for each of our civilizations. We need to walk side through side, sharing our information and our dreams. Her phrases hung inside the air, heavy with the load of obligation. She should experience the conflicting feelings within her very own coronary heart, the pull of duty and the tug of domestic. But she knew that she had made the right decision, for she had visited the historical ruins, had felt the awe and marvel that got here with the realization of how plenty humanity had yet to research. We can't flip our backs on this possibility, as she endured. We ought to include it, and face the destiny collectively. We are explorers, scientists, and specifically, people. We have the electricity to form the direction of records, and it's far our obligation to use that strength for the greater correct. Her phrases were met with nods of settlement, but also with expressions of concern and doubt. They knew the dangers they were taking, the sacrifices they have been making, but additionally they knew that the fate of the galaxy rested on their shoulders, and that they couldn't shirk their responsibility. Together, they would forge a new path ahead, one that could lead them into the unknown, toward a future in which humanity and this historic civilization should stroll facet with the aid of aspect, their destinies for all time intertwined. They would face the challenges that lay in advance with braveness, dedication, and a fierce loyalty to one another. They would now not fail. They couldn't fail. For the fate of the galaxy hung inside the stability, and the destiny of humanity rested in their hands. And Elena Martinez knew, with every fiber of her being, that they would not let it slip away. The historical artifact, cautiously unearthed from the ruins, seemed to glow with an internal mild as they carried it returned to their makeshift base. The air became thick with anticipation and the hum of machinery as they prepared to decode its secrets. They had come to date, and but the proper importance of their discovery changed into handiest now starting to sink in. It's a map, a Dr. Rivera breathed, his arms flying over the holographic shell. A map to a hidden cache of generation, buried deep beneath the floor of this planet. The readings are in contrast to something we have visible before. How some distance away are we, speak me? Lieutenant Johnson asked, his brow furrowed. Ye not a ways, Rivera answered. Perhaps a few hours' journey through land automobile. Elena glanced at her crew, her heart swelling with pride and admiration. They were a set of explorers, scientists, and squad eyes, certain together through a common intention and a fierce loyalty to each other. They had confronted endless dangers and adversities on their journey, but they had continually persevered, usually discovered a way to triumph over the chances. We have to prepare to leave straight away, she said, her voice constant and resolute. We cannot waste a moment in retrieving what will be humanity's greatest discovery. Their preparations had been a flurry of pastime, as they loaded their device into land cars and double-checked their resources. The air became thick with the smell of gasoline and the low hum of engines. As they prompted throughout the alien landscape, the map's glowing lines guiding them like a beacon, Elena couldn't assist but sense her experience of awe and marvel. They have been selected, she realized, chosen by using fate or providence or some extra force they couldn't yet realize. The weight of that responsibility settled closely upon her shoulders. However, it did no longer weigh her down, for she knew, deep in her bones, that they were able to greatness. They have been able to converting the course of history. And as they approached the hidden cache, its towering spires of metal and glass growing up from the ground like a vision from an extended forgotten dream, Elena Martinez felt a thrill of anticipation surge through her. They were approximately to unencumber the secrets and techniques of the universe, and there was no turning back. The team disembarked from their cars and shaped a semicircle around the cache, their weapons drawn but their fingers carefully stored far away from their triggers. As Dr. Rivera started out to paintings on the locking mechanism, Lieutenant Johnson scanned the encircling location for any symptoms of threat. The air became thick with the sound of their breathing and the smooth whirring in their comms gadgets. I assume we are clean, Johnson stated sooner or later, his voice barely above a whisper. No signal of safety systems or traps. Rivera nodded, his awareness centered on the difficult workings of the lock. After numerous nerve-wracking moments, the mechanism clicked open, and he pulled the heavy door aside, revealing the treasure inside. Inside the vault, rows upon rows of shelves have been stacked with odd and wondrous gadgets, their surfaces sparkling with an inner mild. Some resembled computer systems, others were more like works of artwork. And at the center of all of it, resting on an ornate pedestal, changed into a sparkling crystal, its pulsating mild casting shadows that danced throughout the partitions and ceiling. The air turned into thick with the heady scent of ozone and the low hum of energy, as if the very surroundings had been charged with strength. Dr. Rivera let loose a shaky breath, his eyes extensive with marvel. This is it, he whispered. This is what we've been trying to find. Elena seemed around, her heart racing with anticipation. Lieutenant, begin cataloging and inventorying those devices. We want to realize the whole lot we can approximately them before we begin looking to use them. Lieutenant Johnson nodded, his expression a mixture of awe and professionalism. He understood, Commander. He motioned for his team to comply with him, spreading out among the cabinets to begin their work. As the relaxation of the group settled in, Dr. Rivera became his attention lower back to the glowing crystal on the middle of the room. This crystal, he said, his voice hushed, it's what is powering the whole thing. I think it's the important thing to unlocking the full ability of this technology. Elena moved to stand beside him, her gaze fixed on the crystal. What do you imply? She requested. Rivera hesitated, his brow furrowed in attention. I'm no longer positive, but, he admitted. But I assume it is critical that we deal with it with care. This could be a self-sustaining strength supply, able to producing power for millennia. As they endured to examine the crystal, the rest of the team labored tirelessly around them, cataloging and reading the devices at the shelves. They found computers, conversation systems, medical gadgets, and even what appeared to be a primitive shape of AI. The more they learned, the extra they found out that they had stumbled upon a treasure trove of expertise, a gift from a long,